10:02. First order of business, for those of you that will, the rest of you can sit if you don't want to, but we'll stand and we'll say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to run down through my list of rules. You want to pay attention to this. The very first rule for any of you folks that might be your first time at first meeting, listen closely. Cell phones. If you have your cell phone with you, either turn it off or turn it to vibrate. If I hear your phone go off in this meeting, I will single you out as the person that could not follow a simple instruction. And everybody else here will get to see who you are. Make sure they're off or on vibrate. Any non-voters, I would please not have you vote during our vote process. If I think you're a non-voter, I will challenge you and make you stand against the wall. One speaker has the floor 2 at a time. That means, and I know nobody believes this, that I can't hear the little whispering and chattering clear over in that back corner, but I can hear everything. I got super ears. The only thing I was blessed with was super ears. I will stop the meeting and call you out if you're chattering amongst yourselves. One person has the floor to a time. That person, when they are recognized to have the floor, shall stand up and give their name, so Lucia, who's taking the minutes of the meeting, can get it down in the minutes as to who is speaking. A voter, you will, if we are discussing a topic, you will not be recognized a second time until everybody's gotten to speak on the subject the first time. So if you've already spoke and there's a quadrillion hands in the air, put yours down. I'm not calling on you. If there's no objection, I would allow non-voters to speak to the body, which is obviously when the heads of school will come up or your representative or whatever. Doesn't appear to be any objection. The other thing, don't block the doors. Everybody that's standing needs to find a seat. If there's not enough, I would ask one of the JPs, we do have an extra 10 chairs in this side room that we can set out. Nobody is going to be in front of that door, or I'm going to stop the meeting and I'm going to get Derek to start escorting people right out of here.
We've got 2 or 3 here, 2 or 3 in the front row, 2 or 3 over there. You come to church late, you got to sit in the front row.
That's right. You got to be right up here where I can see you.
There's plenty of seats up here. Just got to.
Put the hairy eyeball on you. Very good. Love it. Sit on the floor or wherever. I'm hoping not to be here very long. As a reminder from the town clerk, and she makes me say this every year, and for those of you that don't know, she is my ex-wife, so if I don't say that, I'm going to be in the world of crap. Homestead has to be filed by April 15th. Don't forget, a lot of people do. You get yourself in trouble. And it's state law to register your dogs by April 1st. Not a town law, it's a state law. Last thing before we get going, I would ask that everybody here, you treat each other with kindness, respect, and be courteous. I don't want to hear the mudslinging crapola that we hear on the national level. We're small town Winhall. We're here to do the annual business of the Winhall School District and the town of Winhall. And with that, we are going to move into the school district portion.
Scott, could you open the polls?
Oh, yeah. I forget that every year. The polls are open in the back of the room for your Australian ballot voting. Okay. So, Article 1. To elect one school director for a 3-year term to be voted by Australian ballot, which is in the back of the room. Article 2. To elect a moderator for the ensuing year by voted by Australian ballot, which is in the back of the room, and I'm the moderator, so if at any time you feel like you don't want to listen to me next year, please, by all means, put your name on the paper back there. Okay, Article 3. Shall the voters authorize the school board to borrow money by issuance of notes not in excess of anticipated revenue for the fiscal year July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026? So the way this works, I need a motion to move the question to the floor. Motion by Kim Waller, seconded by Julie Isaacs. Discussion. Is there any discussion on this article? No discussion at all, because I'm going to, if I don't see any hands or anything, I'm going to move pretty quickly. Because, again, for you new timers, noon is lunchtime. The further I go past lunchtime, the crankier I get. So to spare you, I'm going to try to get us through in a decent, timely manner. It's not for me, it's for you. Okay, so all in favor? Shall the voters authorize the school board to borrow money by issuance of notes not in excess of anticipated revenue for the fiscal year July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The ayes have it. Okay, Article 4. Shall the voters approve tuition payment of the announced tuition rates of the mountain school at Winhall in the amount of $19,550 for the 2025-2026 school year for resident pupils who attend the mountain school at Winhall? Can I have a motion to move the question to the floor?
So moved.
Larry Waller and seconded Christie
Boswell.
Boswell McKenzie.
Just Boswell.
Just gotta give him
Just
that.
go with, yeah. Just
Discussion? Shall the voters approve the tuition payment of the announced tuition rate at the mountain school at the Winhall in the amount of $19,550 for the 2025-2026 school year for resident pupils who attend the mountain school at Winhall? Any questions? Any comments? Any concerns?
So Scott, we're going to do our,
You ought to do your thing now.
yeah.
Fire away.
Well, and are we going to do the heads of school?
I don't know, are we? How many are here?
2.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Because I'm in such a rush, I'm just going to fly.
3.
Yeah, so why don't you come on over, limit yourself to 30 seconds or so.
We should
3
change the
minutes.
paradigm. We should pass the budget first and then talk about it.
Are
we just gonna, like, blow through this?
That we're probably not going to hear Mark,
Well, you know what the
because he
problem
has no voice.
It's always,
I'm going to try, so you're going to
the
have to be
extra tuition
super
is always
quiet.
before
all you
the
can
general
do is
budget.
whisper.
That should always be before the general budget, and then we have the discussion.
Yeah.
I don't know why it happens, but it's always there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Except
behave myself
they're
and
not
refrain from making jokes about
budgets
Mark
and
not having a voice. Be kind and
Since we kind of have the budget
good luck.
discussion.
Thank you all. My name's Colin Igo. I'm the head of school at Long Trail School over in Dorset. And here to just say thank you briefly for your continued support of our school. And then, share a little bit, as we all know, and I'm sure as will be discussed today and in the coming months, that there are real challenges facing our state regarding education statewide. And I know here in our area of Southern Vermont, we have a really fantastic system that educates kids very well. And I'm particularly proud of the experience that our students at Long Trail have in grades 6 through 12. I see some parents in the room here today. And so, while this isn't just about Long Trail, I did want to just address and say clearly that as we navigate some uncertainty ahead, that my goal and our goal as a community is to ensure that we do everything in our power to maintain as much access as possible to Long Trail School, to school choice, and to ensuring that we educate all of our kids currently and future kids, continue to provide them with a powerful, transformative educational experience. There's probably nothing more important to a functioning community, and certainly nothing that we care more about probably than our children and our economy. And those two things are really intertwined as we see what's at play at the state level. So as a school, we're really engaged and committed and encourage all of you to do the same as things continue to unfold. So just briefly, because I'll hand it over to my colleagues here, but Long Trail School, this year we have 260 students in grades 6 through 12. That's the highest enrollment the school has ever experienced. We graduated 39 students in May. We're going off, 37 of them are going off to four-year colleges, and an amazing and diverse set of schools. Two of them, one of them is planning to join the military, another into the workforce. And that's kind of the outcome that we're really proud of and work hard along with the families and students. But all the special sauce are the things that happened before that, from 6th grade all the way through 12th grade. And our mission statement is to create lifelong learners who fulfill their individual potential in an engaging and supportive community. I think that is the secret sauce, that we have really high expectations for students, but we are also an incredibly compassionate place. And so students get to engage in an IB curriculum, International Baccalaureate, which is an incredibly powerful, holistic approach to learning. We have robust athletics, including tonight at 6 o'clock, our number 2 ranked girls basketball team will host their home playoff game. Come down to our beautiful field house and watch the game. Next week, we're sending 14 students over to Germany as part of our exchange with a German school in Kunislau, Germany. We have a robust and really impressive arts program. If you haven't seen a show, or if you haven't come to campus, I really encourage you to come visit. And I'll end with that Long Trail is a really special place, and I want all of you to know that there's a warm and genuine invitation to come visit. Come see what's happening in the classrooms, come to a game, come to a performance, because we're of this community and for this community and in this community, and really genuinely want as many people to come and see the special sauce that happens at Long Trail School. So thank you all very much for your support, and I encourage you to support the budget that the school district has so thoughtfully put together, and thank you all for your tireless and probably often thankless work to make sure that there's great education for our kids. Thank you.
Sorry, we're gonna jump around even further now. Your representative is here to speak to us, Chris Morrow, and he has to get to all his other towns, so I'm actually going to bring him up for him to have his words to say. I'm sure, do you have anything good to say? Or?
Well, we'll see. Hopefully just take some questions.
This is a tough crowd right here.
Hello, for those of you that don't know me, I live over in Weston. I grew up in Manchester. I've lived in Weston for 25 years or so. Raised my kids here. They went to Floodbrook and Burton, and Long Trail, actually, for one of my daughters went there for a few years. And mostly worked down in Manchester in the family business, which was the North Shire bookstore. Now I have a little time to go up to Montpelier, so I've had quite a learning curve over the last couple of months. There's a lot going on up there. If you want a detailed report of what's going on committee by committee, there's one on my website, which is just Morrow, the number 4bt.com. Also on there is a link to a survey. The biggest thing going on up in Montpelier is education reform, as you probably expect. So there's a link to a survey there. This is really your last chance to weigh in as citizens before some bills get crafted in the next few weeks about our education reform package coming out of the House. There's a different one that will come out of the Senate. The governor, of course, has presented his plan, which we're working from. So there's a lot going on. So if you have opinions about our school reform, education reform efforts, now is the time. Please do weigh in. I put a little form in the back also with a QR code on it, so you can just link to it there if you'd like. but I really encourage you to weigh in right now if you'd like to, particularly around the issue of choice. A lot of people in Montpelier don't understand how our descending town choice system works. They just don't have experience with it. And for some reason, even though it's a very small number of kids statewide and a small dollar amount, there's some very, very vocal, passionate feelings about this issue. So we need to have our voice heard down here where we have choice, and we have a system that works well for our kids who go seamlessly from public to private schools. Also, Thursday at 5 o'clock, I'll be at the New American Grill in Londonderry to have any small group Q&A and conversation. So if we don't cover something here that you're interested in, please stop by the grill at 5 o'clock on Thursday. And feel free to get in touch with me at all through the course of the legislative season. I'd be happy to answer questions or help out with dealing with state agencies in any way. As I said, there's a lot going on. I don't know, do you want to do a few questions or not? I don't know what your time frame is. Fine. Sure. Why don't we take it? Does anyone have any questions about?
Quick question, who put the survey out? I mean, I know it.
It's put out by the Speaker of the House.
Okay.
So a lot of the education reform efforts obviously are happening in the education committees, but because it's such a big lift, the Speaker and her staff are also heavily involved in this, and they would really want to hear from you all.
And let me just echo that. It's really important. We have a pretty special system set up in this town, so I would echo Chris's comments about filling out the survey, because it is really important that our community's voice is heard.
Yes, sir.
Chris, in your opinion, how real is the threat to school choice here?
Oh, it's real. It's absolutely real. Everything is up in the air right now, and things could come down on different side of this. It's a lot of uncertainty right now on a lot of things. The federal situation is also throwing a wrench in the works up there on many levels. But yeah, there's nothing set in stone right now, and that's why now's the time to weigh in, because the bills are, the governor did finally come out with some language in bill form for us to work from, but that was just last week, so the committees have had to do a lot of work on their own. I mean, they were going to take testimony anyway, but it's all coming together in the next few weeks to months. And they'll be back and forth with the Senate. The Senate bill, if you haven't, Senator Baumgartz from Manchester has presented a much more interesting, choice-friendly layout of districts and SUs. And so you can check out a map of that. That's on the Senate Education Committee page. There's a little short narrative about that as well. So I suspect what's really going to happen is the House is going to come out with a less friendly for us bill, and the Senate's going to come out with a more friendly bill, and then we're going to see how it shakes out at the end of the session. But please do weigh in. Yes, sir.
As someone who has a great deal of experience and understands the channels of communication in the State House, for those that are in support of school choice, do you have any recommendations on whose ear it's actually effective to try to get, and any specific points that you would suggest accentuating? Because you said a number of people don't understand the system, and it's not going to do any good to write a letter and email that just says you're doing something terrible. So are there specific points that you would recommend that we lean on in order to,
Yeah, well, this survey is really a great opportunity because it goes to the Speaker, who's really in control of what's happening in the House. You can also, if you want to email folks, you can go to the General Assembly has a really good webpage, and the one good thing that came out of COVID is that every single committee meeting and floor meeting is streamed on YouTube and recorded. So you can go in and watch them. You can, at your leisure, If you're interested in any particular committee or issue, the agendas are posted weekly. You can see who's testifying. But to your point, so you can go to the committee page, go to the education page, and see all the members there and their emails. Feel free to email the education committees in either the House or the Senate with your thoughts, really explaining how well school choice works for our kids. Because at the end of the day, what we're after is a system that works well for our kids, and at a price we can afford. And so if you focus on the value of choice to our children, I think that's really the key message at this point.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Chris, when will they start taking testimony?
Oh, they've been taking testimony for weeks now.
Okay, but from regular citizens, not just at the schools and other politicians?
Yeah, I would email the chair of the education committee if you'd like to testify. I'm sure their schedule is packed. He might just ask you to submit written testimony. I am not clear on how that's working right now, but Peter Conlon is the chair of the House Education Committee, and he would be the person to contact.
I'd like to add one more thing. 27 years ago, this town created an independent school because of the state changing the structure of schooling. And it takes all of us to speak up, because they will completely redefine education in the state if they don't hear from us. Most importantly, it's not just that we have to say how wonderful experience our kids are well educated. The people up north have no understanding of historically the system here, that we act as public schools for our families and our communities. We have choice because we have schools. They use an equity issue to try to close independent schools and schools who serve all the kids in our communities, not exclude them. Because up north, they feel it's unfair that there are parents there who say we should be able to have choice too. And it's an equity issue to shut us down with a handful of kids so that they can prove a point, because they believe they should have an option up north as well. The state should be looking at how they can help other public systems that are bigger, have more opportunities, by the way. It's unfair for us, we don't have transportation, we don't have all kinds of enriching opportunities that you have in a public and a more populated area. And that's the fight you have to make. It's not how great education is, because you will lose on that, because that's their issue. Our kids are better educated because we have independent schools. Their issue is equity, and you have to drive that home. And you have to also drive home that communities still need to have a say. And as they consolidate everything, if you look at how many voices were lost when Taconic and Green was consolidated and all these towns went in, the voices were lost from the local community. And it is an economic issue. We have an economic engine. And if you look at the stats, a population of young families and workers moving in who will continue to support and thrive in our communities, not dying small communities. They make their decisions about where their kids are in school and where they work and how close they are to one another. They're not putting 5- and 6-year-olds on buses. By the way, the state says as long as they can be on a bus for 45 minutes. If it's more than 45 minutes for an elementary school, then we have to rethink where they go. The details in these bills are outrageous. Forget about choice. Just think about kids and education and work. How many people are we going to continue to attract to work here when their kids are an hour away? And they're not going to move to the town an hour and a half away that has no work. So this is all intertwined, and voices back when Act 60 came in 27 years ago, we were on the steps of the State House. This is not a silent issue. This requires noise and abundance of it, and thoughtful noise, and standing up for what was created down here and has been preserved for over 100 years with BDA. They don't understand it. They don't understand that our choice is a public choice. So please, everybody get involved quickly, because
Okay, enjoy town meeting. Thank you.
Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program. Margaret,
All right.
would you like to take the podium?
Scott, could we get more chairs?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, can we grab a JT or two? We got some extra chairs I'd like to get out, because you guys have got to get away from that fire door over there. It's an emergency exit, and I'm gonna get real tired of saying that. Yeah. Where are we going? Okay. If it's not too huge of a distraction, I'm going to let Margaret go ahead and speak so we can kind of get to getting on here. If it is too much of a distraction, just say so and we'll stop and watch my work.
Hi everybody, I'm Margaret Schlachter. If I haven't had a chance to meet you, I am the head of school here at the Mountain School at Winhall, also a Winhall resident, so less than half a mile down the road. And glad to be here my second year at the school. Kim just gave us she was actually who just spoke, she was one of the founders of this school, and it was founded over 27 years ago. I'm going to jump, kind of, I had an order to go in, but then Kim, I'm going to jump in based on what she said. We have been here for about 27 years now. This school is, when it opened, it was opened with a charter that all students that are from sending towns, that today is Winhall. 55% of our students are from Winhall, Stratton, and now as well Windham. 80% of our students come from towns that have choice, that are non-operating districts, like Winhall, that are K through, that start at kindergarten with their choice. Our enrollment this year at the school is up 20% from last year. We did a lot of time when we looked at our budgeting for this next school year, and when you vote on the warning that Scott just put out there in front of you, just know that we built into our budget, over 15% of our operating budget now comes from fundraising that we do completely outside of to offset the costs, not only so that our students that attend here from the towns and with town tuition is at no additional cost to the families that are from those towns for tuition-wise, which sets us apart from many of those places other than kind of BDA around here, as well as we try to make sure that we are being super conservative with how we're spending every cent that we spend here at the school. So our budget only is going up 3.5% next year. So we're trying to keep it, as someone who's also paying taxes in this town, understand that everything we ask, that comes out of my wallet as well when I pay my homestead taxes. So, but that's a little bit, you're going to be voting on that. About 20% of our students, we've always had special education here at this school, and today we have about 20% of our students receive either they're on what's called a 504, where they have additional support, mostly in the classroom, or they're on an individualized education plan, which we have a full-time special educator, and now this year, because of an increased need in special education, we have 2 additional part-time people that come into the school and help support us. So that's a little bit about what we're doing. I want to just highlight a few things that have been going on as well. I am really proud. Our 6th graders this year, we've really boosted. We use a Singapore method math. It's called Think Math. But at the 6th grade level, that ends at 5th grade. 6th grade, we've developed our own math curriculum that actually gives our 6th graders a pre-algebra math curriculum that we fully implemented this year for our students. We're into the 2nd year working on increasing our literacy across all classrooms, whether that's writing. Our 5th graders just wrote about a ecological concern that they had. They wrote a book, and then they shared it with our 1st and 2nd graders, including illustrations as well. But we've been doing things like that, bringing literacy into every single one of our subjects. Through UPenn has been here for 2 years with the Penn Literacy Network, working with all of our teachers. As well, we are so proud of our community partnerships that we have with where's Laura? With Laura, some of our kids go over and help stock the food pantry. We have local experts that have come in. We've really boosted our after-school program so that we have after-school programming about 4 days a week now. And any family that can't afford that after-school programming, we scholarship them in so that no kid is left behind when they might need that additional care. So that includes things like having Ida Mae Specker studying music, doing singing songwriting with the kids. That includes, we had a soccer program this fall that was just a fun recreational program. We've had Lauren from Vermont Macrame as a fan favorite here, and I'm looking at one of my parents over there whose daughters are at it like every week. Then as well, we've had, recently we have guitar lessons happening with Jake Geppert. Many of you might know him from the Bonneville Boys. But as well, then we brought in experts like Kyle Usherwood from the Fish and Wildlife, as well as arborists. And we're continuing our artist in residence program and working. We're going to have a performance at the West End Theater Company this spring. So those are just a few things we're always doing. We do all the things that you do at every other school with our MAPS testing, where our kids take the VT CAP test. We do Ames Web benchmarking. Those are all things we do. I could tell you what's all day, but I think the more important part is why we exist. I think Kim articulated some of why we exist here, but beyond just educating our youngest students here, we're really here. We're here for the families. When I look around, those of you that had your kids go here in the past, those of you that maybe have young kids that are hoping to have your kids come here in the future. And we actually have this year, as far as I know, the first legacy mountain school at Winhall student. One of our kindergartners' father went to school here and graduated from here. So it's really neat to kind of have our kind of first full circle in our 27-year history, and hope to continue to have that. And we're continuing to be part of the community. We've hosted not only town meeting and here like right now, but we also had a memorial service here this year. We had a local community group. They had their fundraiser here this year, and we've even been in talks to have one of our a local business person be able to run a camp out of here for kids program she already runs. So, we continue to offer an exceptional educational experience while fostering a love of learning with the kids. Our goal is they are lifelong learners. Any of you are welcome to come here, and those that are parents, you may see we have kids run into the building in the morning because they want to be at school. They literally run into the building. And if Vincent was here, our bus driver, he can verify this. We want the kids to be kind to each other, kind to themselves, and kind to nature. So I just thank you for your continued support in this school. And I invite you, please go throughout the school, and if you're really up for it, our third graders made this amazing board game. No joke. They developed their own board game, but it's all the way down at the end of the hallway in our art STEAM room. So before you leave, go check it out. Go check out all the projects that the kids have on the walls. And thank you so much for continuing to support the school.
I'm Holly Wendell. I'm the assistant head of school at Stratton Mountain School. Carson Thurber, our head of school, the Stratton Town meeting is at the same time. And due to us being in Stratton and him being a resident of Stratton, he is at the Stratton Town meeting. And wanted me to express to you how much he values this town and your support of our school. We really are grateful over the years for how much Winhall values what we do as a winter sports academy. And a lot has been said about the new proposed legislation. We want our parents in the community to know that we are really actively advocating for our winter sports athletes so that they can continue to have this opportunity. About a third of our students come from the local community, and 32 of them are from Winhall. These are the kids that are training on your roads, they're probably interrupting your traffic, I'm sorry. They're amazing athletes, and they're more than just athletes. Our head of school went to SMS. Your head of school here went to SMS. We're really proud of our alumni, and really proud of our tradition of serving this community. So we are actively involved in advocating for students, not just for us, but for all of the winter sports academies in Vermont. You know, next year's town meeting, we will have just completed the Winter Olympics in Milan, February of 2026. We project 12 athletes to be there. Over the years, we've put over 50 students on the Olympic stage. I think it's something that we can all be proud of. We all have a part in this. To be honest, you know, there are 3 different proposed, and the 3 different things from the House, from the governor, from Mr. Bongart's, only one of those carves out a space for winter sports academies like SMS. The other 2 don't see a clear path forward for us to continue to provide this opportunity. We're small, we won't meet the standards that some of the proposals are suggesting. And so I think it is really important. Thank you, Kim Bowler, for taking the stage and speaking so eloquently on this and for continued support of our school. I really do hope that next town meeting after the Olympics, we're celebrating these kids, and we're also celebrating continuing to give them the opportunity to attend schools like us and Killington Mountain School, Burke Academy, Green Mountain Valley. All of us are in partnership. We work together. We all have slightly different missions, and together I think that we do a lot for making Vermont feel really proud. Proud of our history of winter sports and outdoor sports and keeping these kids really healthy and active. And I think I know that whenever I watch them on the national stage or even around here on the roads, I'm super proud of all of their efforts. So thank you to all of you in Winhall for being so supportive of choice, and hopefully we'll continue to serve the students.
Hello everyone, I'm Dan Skolin, the head of school at Maple Street School. This is my 3rd year. I want to begin by again just celebrating your eloquent remarks, Kim. I think you nailed it in terms of the lack of understanding about the benefits of choice. Also, I got a good chuckle when you said heads of school and other politicians. I definitely feel like a politician the last couple of years, engaged in this process. I also would be remiss not to emphasize showing up, and it's something we talk about, I talk about a great deal at Maple Street School to our students, that one of the most important qualities in life is to show up, and I'd love to bring our kids up here to see this tangible example of showing up. For those that don't know much about Maple Street School, but I do see some former board members, parents, grandparents, current parents in this audience. It's a special school. We educate a very big range. We started an early childhood program, so we have a pre-K program that's up at the Southern Vermont Art Center for ages primarily 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds, all the way up to 8th grade. So a huge range. Our tier system kind of breaks down to early childhood, K through 3, our intermediate grades, grades 4 and 5, and then 6 through 8. We serve 146 students. 28 of those students are Winhall families, Winhall students, and we have other sending town families that break down to roughly 25%. So as Colin said, we are all about accessibility and affordability. One of our key fundraising efforts right now is for financial aid. We spread out financial aid to all families who need it, as long as they come knocking and demonstrate that need. So socioeconomic diversity, diversity in learners, diversity in families, diversity in geographic areas is very important to Maple Street School. Since I was up here last year, some of the new curriculum and program initiatives that are taking place in Maple Street, we have a dedicated outdoor program now. So our students are outside on our campus, and those who haven't been there, we're tucked up against the banks of the Battenkill River behind Shaw's grocery store. So our kids are outside every day, whether it be engaged in scientific discovery or just being outside in the elements, which is education unto itself. We have a vibrant learning center, and we continue to invest in that because special education is deeply important to Maple Street. We have a school counselor and then 3 learning specialists. Some that are more focused on the upper school, some that are more focused on lower school, that really support kids on IEPs, 504s, or just honestly, school is hard. And it kind of depends on the year. We want kids who start to experience that hardship and maybe where they question themselves as a learner, that we're there to support them and boost their self-esteem. The other exciting venture that we initiated this year was a specialist program. So we removed our 5th grade, which is a part of 4th grade, but kids now have the opportunity to take cinematography, rock band, we have an abstract art class, and we actually have a service learning class, so a dedicated space that you learn how to engage in the greater community. Not just fundraising, but actually tangibly engaging with a lot of the local NGOs and nonprofits, locally but also globally. How can you be a good community member and serve your community? So those are some of the new initiatives since I last was up here, but again, just want to end with reiterating the importance of really educating yourself about what's happening in Montpelier and the importance of the choice system, because it really benefits a lot of schools, a lot of different schools. They take care of different types of kids from all walks of life. Thank you very much.
Okay, so, that concludes that. You're free to stay if you'd like. If not, if I was you, I'd cut and run. We were, Jen, do you want to fire up your?
Yes,
Do you want to do your
Sure.
PowerPoint?
You're good to go.
Yay, PowerPoint.
All right. Let me just kind of step out for a second because just to add on to what Kim said, which again, I think Kim really hit the nail on the head. My own personal experience, and I'm just speaking as myself here, choice in this part of the state, I think, is different than how people view choice in other parts of the state, where the general theory is that choice really only privileges those who can afford it. In my experience, that is completely upside down here for the better. Choice here allows students who wouldn't otherwise be able to have that choice to be able to go to exceptional schools. That was Matt's and my experience, where we had the benefit of choice, where we were given those tuition vouchers to send our kids to the schools that really were the right place for them at that time in their lives, that we would not have been able to do but for choice. And I think, when I'm thinking about how to try to explain the system to someone who doesn't understand it, who lives in a more populated part of the state where there are ample choices, that doesn't exist here but for the schools that serve our students. And I think, to me, it's really, really important to allow all of our kids to have that ability to access schools that they would not otherwise have that financial ability to be able to go to. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm going to put my Winhall School Board hat back on and just say thank you. I'm Jennifer Deck Samuelson. I'm the chair of the Winhall School Board, joined by Dean Giannotti and Meredith Dennis and Sue Wilburn from the BRSU. Thank you, everyone, for coming this morning. If you can hear me, I'm not going to stand up because I really don't love that. And just want to also thank Margaret for opening up the school to us, allowing us to be here today and gather. I'm also chair of the of the State Board of Education, and we have 2 student members who serve on that committee, and I'm going to quote one of them because a couple of weeks ago we had a meeting, and he said, "No one ever picked democracy because it was efficient." Democracy is messy, but this is why we're here today. And we're going to have a conversation, and I realize that all of you are taking time out of your day, and I just want to say thank you because it's really important that we're here, that we're able to talk about these things, and we're able to make decisions as a community. So thank you. Also want to thank Beth and Al and everyone who's here, and Lucia, for supporting this meeting. So thank you. I have a couple housekeeping items. I was told to mention that in the town booklet, the Mountain School letter is on page 20. Somehow there was a letter from a few years ago that was also included.
Whose phone's dinging?
Not mine. Not mine, Scott, you know that.
Here's someone.
Not anymore.
Phone dinging here. Check it. Sorry.
That's
Go
okay.
ahead.
All right. Anyway, there's an old letter on page 35 that somehow got included in error, so you don't need to read that one, just read the one on page 20. The other thing is, are there any new Winhall resident voters with us today? Would you guys like to stand and just welcome? Thank you for coming.
Unless your phone rings.
Or we go over noon. All right, so for those of you who've been here before, we do a slideshow every year just to kind of orient our conversation. So I'm going to burn through that, and then we can take some question and answers, and then I'll turn it back to Scott to do the reading of the articles, and we'll vote on them. So with that, no further ado, I kind of start us off every... Why is this not working? Uh-oh.
Did you freeze?
Open it on the, just, do you have the slide presentation open on your computer?
I don't know. Oh, we gotta go onto this thing right here. Oh, there, down.
Sorry.
That's okay, thank you.
Oh, here. Now we're gonna go down, there, and then if you just click right. There we go.
There you go. Okay, so now can I use the arrow?
Oh, you should just keep clicking the button, keep clicking your cursor. If you just click your cursor, it'll just keep going to
Okay,
the next one.
this-
So just push that down
Okay,
and it'll
got
go to
it.
the next one.
Don't
Yep.
move. Thank you. Stay here. All right, so I just ground this. Meredith, Dean, and I have been doing this together, the three of us, for several years. And a few years ago, we spent some time at a series of meetings coming up with our mission statement. So this grounds the work that we do, which is to support each child's intellectual growth and academic success while encouraging creativity, independence, and responsibility to self and others. And I think you also heard that expressed with our heads of school today, that really is, they've taken that mission and they've got different iterations of how that mission is accomplished, as well as our public schools. And I do want to recognize that we have many of our students who go to public schools. We didn't have any principals here with us today, but they also satisfy a really important niche. Because I think it's fair to say that not every school is the right place for every student, but there is a school that is the right place for every student. So just to kind of give a brief overview, this is we're looking at and voting on our FY26 budget, which will cover fall of 25 to the spring of 26 next year. So our projected homestead tax rate is just about $1.84. Last year, the year that we're currently finishing was, just under $1.80. So the difference is a little bit under 5 cents increase on the tax rate. So for example, if you own a house that is worth $500,000, your tax rate is projected to increase by roughly $235. None of this is set in stone until the legislature adjourns, but we're kind of in that ballpark. The other thing, and I'm not going to go back, that projected tax rate of $1.84.5 is really about the same as where we were in FY13. So and you can see that it fluctuates every year, kind of goes up, kind of goes down. We are within that historic rate. And then the other thing I want you to keep in mind, tax rate is the same as in FY13, more or less. In the meantime, this is tracking our population of students over that same period. So in 2013, we were educating 138 students. In 2024, we have 212 students, but our tax rate has been able to stay within that tax range. So again, lots of help from the BRSU, Meredith and Dean. We've worked really, really hard to stabilize the tax rate and allow for that growth while keeping the tax rate within an acceptable limit. So the budget for this coming year that we'll be voting on, we know of 187 students. So the BRSU kind of tracks the students and rolls them to the next year. We roll off the graduating seniors, we put on, the soon-to-be kindergartners. And then every year, what we encourage you guys to do is to allow for growth, because we all know that families move in and they tend to move in the summer after we've passed our budget today. So we allow for 15 newly enrolled students. So the budget includes paying for 202 students from Winhall. So the total tuition dollars is, $4,138,114, and that includes remaining a BBA sending town. So we'll vote on that shortly, but that amount does include BBA. I will just tell you now, it doesn't include the mountain school because that is its own article, but Sue is going to be able to crunch the numbers really quickly if you guys approve that article, and we will adjust this figure so that we're voting on the correct number. So Article 4, you heard from Margaret Schlachter, head of the mountain school. They are requesting $19,550 for their students that are grades K to 6 for next year. That is $290 above the state union average that they would otherwise get. That basically adds 3.3 cents to the tax rate. So as an example, if you own a $500,000 house, passing that article will increase your tax rate by about $15. And the total increase to the budget is just under $8,000. So we'll talk about that in a moment. Then the BBA sending town rate, which is Article 6. They are requesting $21,972, so that's just over $1,000 above the state union average that they would otherwise get. It adds about 2 cents to the tax rate, and an owner of a $500,000 house would see their tax rate increase by $110 if this article is approved, and it increases the total proposed budget, which again was included in that number, by just over $51,000. If that article isn't passed and BBA gets the sending town rate, we would only be paying $20,760 for students who attend BBA, and families would be responsible of making up the difference of just about $4,000 per child to attend school there. So in the past, we've had a discussion, the school board feels, and this is certainly something, we're 3 people, we're part of the town, we have options for families to educate their children K-8 with no out-of-pocket expenses, because they can go to any public school for no additional cost, they can go to the mountain school for no additional cost. This also provides families with the opportunity to send their kids to a high school with no additional funds out of pocket. And the school board felt that it's important to have families be able to do that, but again, that's a conversation for the town to have. We've kept it in there because it made sense to us. We have 2 additional tax stabilizing measures. These are very familiar to those of you who've been doing this for a few years. Article 7 allows us to transfer any unassigned general fund surplus at the end of the fiscal year to the tax stabilization fund. We actually don't anticipate that we'll have additional funds this year, so that's kind of there as a placeholder. But it would allow us to do that if we do end up with extra money. And that tax stabilization fund is really like our town's savings account. So for years, when there's a spike in the tax rate because we have more kids show up and it really doesn't take a whole lot of extra kids to show up to throw our budget off, we have the tax stabilization fund, which has over $1 million, like 1.3, something like that, that we can draw on to keep our tax rate from spiking. So we've set that up to allow us to put money in there in the years that we have extra money. We also have Article 8, which is asking voters to approve putting an additional $30,000 into the bus reserve fund. Again, we kind of sock away a little bit every year so that when we need a bus, we have the money to afford it and it doesn't, again, spike our tax rate. So in conclusion, our final voted budget is 4.9% higher than last year, mostly due to increases in tuition rates and special education costs. But it's less than the state average forecasted increase. So we're expecting that our homestead tax rate will increase by 2.6%. The state average projected increase is 5.9%, so we're well below that. Well done. And with that, I will pause before turning it back to Scott and just see if there are questions that we can answer. Thank you.
Well, just so you know, the only questions you can ask if we are on Article 4 would be about the mountain school's tuition rate. The other ones that she spoke about, BBA and so on and so forth, when the article comes up.
To have it modeled out for
discuss it at
the
that point.
increase on just the mountain school or the increase across all schools as well? Because that's something I'd like to ask.
Can we make a motion to pass Article 4?
Well,
Well,
I think we want to move to discussion.
yeah, you gotta let the moderator run the meeting, so.
I don't know.
First
I
thing
ask her
is
to do
that
that.
I need to make sure there are no questions, comments, anything else on Article 4 before we move the vote. Yes.
I have a question that I'm wearing, not my school board hat, but a regular kind of voting.
Felt.
Yes, felt thing. So I know Sue has run the numbers where it's the impact on increasing the tuition for just the mountain school is $15 per household. And I was curious what the impact would be if all the schools that are independent received the same allocation. Or is it just what our impact would be across?
Well, so first and foremost, in your article, you're only discussing the mountain school.
But I can move as a member for all the schools on the floor as I
But as we discuss this, you're now asking us to take up, you're introducing a conversation about all the other independent schools, which would be its own separate article to discuss. Right now, we're just talking about the mountain schools tuition rate.
Right, but,
See what I'm saying?
But-
You're
but
getting a little off,
but-
you're getting off topic of just the mountain school. You're asking about all the other independent schools, which is not what this article is about.
right, but can I move to amend the article?
When we get to Article 9, you can.
Okay. But we have to
Well-
pass this article before we move to Article
You will
9?
not be able to amend it because you need to, that needs to be its own article on the warning.
Okay.
You can't just start adding schools into your main articles or amend
Okay.
these other articles. So if that's something you want to do at next year's town meeting, my suggestion is you get it on your warning.
Okay, I'd like to then talk about the mountain school as
Yes.
a member. Okay, so I'm wearing not my school board hat, but just a regular voter hat. I am moderately concerned that I am a advocate of school choice, and I've been on the board for multiple years. I am concerned when independent schools cannot operate within a set budget, and I'm not talking about necessarily Burton, which we've historically supported, but I am concerned if all the independent schools come back to Winhall and say, hey, we need a little bit more, and this is as a concerned taxpayer. This particular article is for the mountain school, but there's nothing to say that all the independent schools don't come back and say, we're having financial issues, we need a little bit more money. I understand there's a historical precedent for Winhall to support the mountain school. I also know that it's only 55% of the students currently attending the mountain school come from Winhall. So I'm just wondering why the mountain school has asked the Winhall taxpayers to shoulder this burden when I'm not going to say the other independent schools haven't. But that's something that is concerning to me as a taxpayer, as somebody who's lived in the town for 11 or 12 years. I've seen the ugly side of what happens when our taxes go up, and it is concerning to me.
The other part about that is that if the other independent schools feel they need more money, and I was on the school board for 17 years, they can certainly approach the school board to have an article put on here that they need more money. It's not like we make this decision ourselves. Any independent school can petition to have an article on the school district warning to ask for more money. So that's important to know that it's not that they've been slighted, they haven't asked for anything.
I'm not sure they don't.
Exactly.
I'm not sure they don't need it.
Well, they haven't asked for it, basically, is what I'm saying. If they haven't asked for it, it has to go on this warning. It has to be an article for you folks to vote on.
I thought
Larry,
that we
yeah,
could.
Larry Baldwin.
To add.
So I think what happens procedurally is you can create your own article, and the mountain school did. And if anybody
Right.
else wants to create it next year, they
Exactly.
can as well.
As well.
I thought
Yes.
my understanding was we can add.
Absolutely, hold on. Remember, if I don't recognize you, you don't have to pull. Cam?
Schools in the past have asked when they needed it.
Yes.
And we have had discussion and had a vote.
Yeah.
And this year, we are voting on
The
the
mountain school.
articles before us, based upon what the schools have asked for, based upon their current budget moving forward into the next school year.
Correct. Anything else?
I thought, what?
I said I think we have it.
I think we can.
Calvin?
Does the increase in dollar amount per student affect the amount sent to the state education fund different from those numbers? Does it change a multiplier on any of the increases? Because it used to be that whenever you increased a dollar spent, you sent 10 or 11 more dollars to the state fund. Is that a thing that's not shown on those numbers? Like,
No,
does it
that's-
cost any more than $290?
So no.
As state fund?
No, I think what you might be referring to is when we're in penalty, where when you add money to the budget, it doubles itself because we're above the threshold, which we are not, and this will not put us above the threshold.
Brian?
When you had your slide up there that said, this is what the school board, that we're, 2.89, whatever it was, it's lower than what the state wants. Do those two get combined?
No.
No.
So if the state passes a 4 point something, that's what it is?
I think the state was projecting that most towns in Vermont will see their budgets increase by 5.9%.
It's the forecasted tax increase across the state, it's an average. So it was just a forecasted average of how much taxes would go
So they don't
up.
get added together?
No. I'm just saying that we're lower, and so.
We're lower than that forecast, yes.
Right, so we're contributing to a lower statewide average.
Stuart?
One thing that I don't think gets mentioned here, that a lot of people don't know here, this is how much we have to raise to educate our kids. But we have to send $10.4 million as of last year to the state education fund that doesn't really show up in this budget. So these figures are what we are raising to educate the children that are based in Winhall. Well, we have to send $10.4 million raised through taxes to the state for the education fund. And it just so that, because that doesn't really show up in the scenario. And it's not your fault, it's the state's fault, but we're talking on deaf ears up there. But just so that people know, we sent 10.4 as of last year.
Yeah, on that point, just for any of you new people, just so you know, the state of Vermont ends at Rutland. Seriously. That's the line. We're nothing down here. Any other questions or comments on this? If not, we'll move to vote. I will read the article again. Shall the voters approve tuition payment of the announced tuition rate of the Mountain School at Winhall in the amount of $19,550 for the 2025-2026 school year for resident pupils who attend the Mountain School at Winhall? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes in fact do have it.
Wait till it comes.
Article 5.
And this is going to be amended. Like Sue will give you the number.
Right, because she's going to be doing that.
She's gonna have to amend it again.
Article 5, shall the voters of the school district approve the school board to expend, and this number will be amended, as Jen said, because it's driven off on whether the previous article passed or failed. So I'm not even going to give you a number till Sue gives me a number.
The new number?
Yeah.
4,796,428.
4,796,428.
Yes.
Okay. Shall the voters of the school district approve the school board to expend $4,796,428, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year? The Winhall Town School District estimates that this proposed budget, if approved, will result, these numbers also change, Sue? Or no?
No, those are just estimated
Okay.
numbers. No.
Will result in per pupil education spending of $14,084, which is 8.10% higher than per pupil education spending for the current year. Can I have a motion to move the question to the floor? Kim Waller and Dave Squires seconded. Discussion on Article 5. Everybody's wore out. No discussion, no questions, no comments, no anything? Speak now, forever hold your peace. I'm going to move the question to vote. Okay. Shall the voters of the school district, you're going to get sick of me doing it all around. Shall the voters of the school district approve the school board to expend $4,796,428 $96,428, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. The Winhall Town School District estimates that this proposed budget, if approved, will result in per pupil education spending of $14,084, which is 8.10% higher than per pupil education spending for the current year. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Article 5 passes. Damn, we're on a roll. Article 6, shall the voters approve payment of the announced tuition rate of Burton Academy in the amount of $21,972 for the 2025-2026 school year for resident pupils in grade 9 through 12 who attend Burton Academy. Can I have a motion to move the question to the floor? Beth Grant, seconded. Matt Samuelson. Discussion. Yes, Robin
I
Ash.
have a question, probably because I missed it. Is this rate, is there an out-of-pocket for people that want to go to PBA?
No, so that is the sending town rate that allows families to send their kids with no money out of pocket.
Thank you.
Anything else? Everybody's good? I'm not good, but close enough. I see no other hands in the room. I'm going to move the question to vote. Once again, Article 6, shall the voters approve payment of the announced tuition rate of Burton Academy? Shall the voters approve payment of the announced tuition rate of Burton Academy in the amount of $21,972 for the 2025 to 2026 school year for resident pupils in grades 9 through 12 who attend Burton Academy? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The article passes. Article 7. Shall the voters authorize the school board to transfer any unassigned general fund surplus existing on June 30th, 2025, an amount estimated to be $41,253 to the Tax Stabilization Reserve Fund? Can I have a motion to move the question to the floor? Christie, Boswell, Close, and Beth Grant seconded. Discussion on Article 7. Going once, going twice. We're moving the question to vote. The question, the article is, shall the voters authorize the school board to transfer any unassigned general fund surplus existing on June 30th, 2025, an amount estimated to be $41,253 to the Tax Stabilization Reserve Fund? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Article 8. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $30,000 for the bus reserve fund? Beth Grant makes a motion to bring it to the floor. Stuart Coleman seconds it. Discussion?
He's a hundred.
Who's second, please?
Stuart Coleman. Yep.
Barbara Coleman. I just have a question. We are putting money in to buy a bus, but in the back of my brain it's saying, we don't do buses anymore. Our buses now are in the greater,
We don't have the contract with the bus driver. It's through the BRSU, but we do supply the bus that is used to transport Winhall students.
Who maintains it? We buy it, but who does everything about it? The district that we have joined?
The SU does it.
So we just give them a bus, brand new bus, and they service our
It's only
kids.
transporting your kids. And any other kids that they might take on to transport are billed for those services.
So
And then
regardless of whether we buy our own bus or if we had to kick into a pool to the BRSU for a bus, you're going to pay for a bus.
And we get the benefit of any students that then pay to ride the bus.
Of course, yep. That revenue's
That are not
in
Winhall
offsets
residents.
your budget, yes.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, I'm going to move the article to vote. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $30,000 for the bus reserve fund? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes appear to have it. Passes. Article 9, to transact any other business which may legally come before the meeting. Do we have any other business to legally come before the meeting? Teresa Amidon.
Teresa Amidon. So school board members, this is to you, I guess. Do you typically extend an invitation from the other independent schools as to what their tuition's going to be, or would they like to submit a subsequent article and also to submit a report from their head school in town report?
So,
Was that too many? I know that was
I was going to say, there was a few questions. I'll see if I get them all, and you can let me know if I've forgotten anything. We do not reach out to independent schools. They know where to find us, and, you know, obviously, they all knew to show up today.
Right.
So, my...
I'm just wondering.
Let Jen finish. We'll cut in.
Well, you know, our thinking is that we're a neutral body. And so, like, I don't think it's necessarily appropriate for us to go fishing for, and that's just me. You know, honestly, the school board has not had that conversation, but we have never reached out to any school to say, hey, you know, submit something to us. Anyone can sign a petition for anything, as you know. So we receive the petitions, we ensure that they are legally binding, and if they are, then they go on warning. And then the other question, I do know that it has been historic practice for heads of school to include.
So you do not solicit for that either?
No. The reality of this is everybody in this game has been in this game a long time.
I understand that.
Including the heads of school, and it's really, it is not, that's kind of asking when you want to bid on something to go and solicit.
Right.
So they, as Jen said, they're your neutral line. They're not going to stick out and ask for anything. They don't ask for anything from public schools. They don't ask for anything from private schools. The private schools, they all know, they bring your stuff.
I'm just going to say this. This is just my opinion and from my experience on the school board, and I will just say this. I'm not suggesting that you have to do that or that you need to do that. I was just asking the question, A. B, I'm just saying that the past history has suggested if I were inclined as a private school to do that, I may be hesitant. So that's why I asked the question.
Past history.
That's the only reason I asked the question.
I agree with that, Teresa. Past history would dictate that. I would say recent history, we've moved in a whole different direction. This board is extremely open to any and all correspondence to them.
I'm
But
not
I do
suggesting they're
understand
not.
the past.
No, I wasn't suggesting that they weren't. I just was asking about the practice of it. That's all. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
Can't we move to amend to add all the
I have something
independent schools?
to say.
Yeah.
We can't, because it wasn't included. It wasn't
I'm gonna say
here
it.
brought
I
to
think we can.
I did also sit on this board for 17 years, and I can tell you that what these folks do in front of you, it is a mind-numbing task most days. And what they come up with since this board has formed itself has been stellar. I just got to say that. I mean, they're well put together. They do their data. They do their homework. It's comprehensive. They watch the cost. And I think at the end of the day, we sometimes just need to acknowledge that they're elected basically volunteering for this. And it's important, I believe, for us to acknowledge that they have stepped to the plate. They are serving their time on this board, and at least give them the okay of like, yeah, we really do appreciate you for doing this.
Thank you, and thank you. And I do really want to acknowledge the BRSU, because they're sort of the unsung heroes in all of this, and the support that they provide to us and the guidance is really, we could not do what we're doing without them, so thank you. And
yes, I get paid for those comments, so if anybody wants just money, leave it at the podium. Anything else? Then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn until 7 p.m. tonight when the polls close. Suspend, recess, whatever. All agreement. Have a motion. Beth, second. Stuart Coleman, all those in favor say aye. Aye. We'll take a short 5-10 minute break for the changing of the guard.
Yay.
And then we'll sit down.
How was your vacation? Yeah, thanks, Steve. You definitely need to more about.
Yeah, Chase, find me. We're giving you email. We'll get together.
Where'd my book go?
We're gonna move it.
Here's a
I have a
book.
book right here.
Here's a book. This is Willard Slade's.
One down here.
Oh, I took that book and threw it back that way.
That was me. Thanks, Val.
Didn't know
Threw
that.
me over the box.
Well, I got Willard Slade's book.
Come, get your butts in chairs. This is not difficult.
Where's the warning?
You ready? Good, Beth? All right, we are now going to convene the Winhall Town meeting at 11:36. It's basically the same program that we just went through. I will read the articles, move to the floor, vote on them. Bob, your uncle. Happy. The first thing we're going to do, though, is that the town of Winhall created a housing committee, and I have said that I would allow their chairperson to come up and say a few words, and I'd like to do that at the beginning of this versus the end. This town sides are fairly short.
You gotta go to the mic. Go to the mic. So everybody can hear.
Oh, yeah, you want it
Just short.
Yes.
These are little ladies that don't talk very loud.
Hi, I'm Nancy Yates, along with Cheryl Molly. We chair the newly formed Winhall Housing Committee. Our committee is made up of Winhall residents who have been working on housing issues at the state, regional, and local level. We've had exactly one meeting, so we're just getting started. We've put together a mission statement that we're going to read to you guys. It'll also be posted. We have a page on the winhall.org town website. So our mission statement is this. The Winhall Housing Committee's mission is to explore and support ideas to increase the amount of available housing for our growing community. The WHC hopes to find inventive ways to create more options for housing the local workforce, young families, and our own seniors, so that people can comfortably work, live, and retire in our town, and without increasing taxes on our residents. So we're looking to be very creative in how we find new ways and new places. We're different than other towns, and I'll let Cheryl continue from there.
Hello, thank you. You may have heard that there was a 4-town housing study that was conducted last year for our area by the Winhall Regional Commission to bring Winhall, Londonderry, Jamaica, and Weston together to discuss housing issues facing the area. The study found that our town in particular was in need of the most housing, at least 100 units over the next 10 years. Unlike other towns like Brattleboro, Bennington, we don't have old mills or other conversion opportunities, so we need to be creative in how we approach the problem. And we are just getting started, as Nancy said. Think about your own families and those you know who may need housing. If you might have a property that could be developed, or if you have any ideas you might want to share, please join one of our meetings. They are open to the public and will be held on the last Tuesday of each month. You can check the Winhall website for our meeting times and our minutes, and feel free to join us by Zoom or in person at Town Hall. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I probably don't need the mic because I think it was kindergarten. I learned the word loquacious and quiet. So I don't think I need the mic. Just a few real quick things in this informational part of it. So if you've been on our new website, it's a new website, and thank you, Lissa, for a tremendous, incredible amount of effort and energy. My brain hurts thinking about what you put into it. It's not, I have to be fair, it's not as user-friendly as the last one was, where everything was right on the home page, and you could click right to directly to get to something. Now you sort of have to know what it is you're trying to get to. Like if you want to get to the housing committee, you have to go down to government committees, get in housing, you know, and then in that subcommittee, sub-menu to check. I mean, it's definitely up and running and good, and Lissa put a tremendous amount of time getting that together. The other thing there that is on the website also, yes, thank you, Lissa. It does have a ton of more information than we've ever had up before. Yeah, minutes of meetings, minutes of house should be up, housing committee. Yes, I saw a draft of the meeting I attended. So all the, minutes are up if you want to look back through stuff. There's just a ton of information. The other thing is that on the website, you'll also see, I don't know how many are aware, but I know quite a few people here were aware that we've been working, Marcel Gisquet, who passed, is on the cover of our town report and the inside cover. He was working ardently on short-term rentals ordinance for our town because we had a significant number of complaints from people, joining landowners mostly, things like garbage or noise or parking. So we finally, after he passed, we continued the process, and so there's a short-term rental ordinance up now. It became effective February 3rd or 5th, and it's up there. What we don't have right now, and we're open to, is anybody is interested in possibly being a short-term rental administrator. It's a part-time position, but it's $35 an hour. It's 23 hours a week, which makes it part-time, so there's no benefits with it, but that's, $840 a week if somebody wants to take a decent position. That position, we haven't gotten response yet on that as far as I know. It's been advertised and it's up on the website. The other thing is that we're working with the company that Marcel started with. It's called GovOS. Killington uses them. A number of other towns throughout the country use them to process this short-term rental applications. Lissa and I have been working with them directly every other Friday for a month or two now, and their go-live date is June 25th. Our drop-dead date on getting your short-term rental licensed, that's their go-live to allow for licensing. Our drop-dead date is August 31st, and after that, you're in violation. Short-term rental, that's it. The ordinance is up there if people have questions about it. bill@winhall.org would be an answer. Or questions now if people have questions. Sure, Robin.
Yeah, we'll
No?
take a couple of questions, but this is basically not question and answer on that. Robin, what do you have?
My question is, a short-term rental is less than 30 days, are there exemptions?
No,
Like,
it's less than 30 days, so it's more than 30.
You're not renting for 14, what if you're renting less than 14 days a year? Do you still need to get?
It's in there, isn't it?
It's in the ordinance. I think it specifically addressed that. The less than 14 is not a short-term rental. More than 30 is a long-term rental. Right. The 14 days, yeah, it's in the ordinance. I believe it's right at the beginning of the explanation. Yeah, 14 days is 14 days. Federal and state is not a rental issue.
Just like to point out that I actually printed off the employment opportunity for the short-term rental administrator. If anybody's interested in reading about it, outside, just right outside this door, we have all the paperwork on a stand-up thing there, and it's the very top right corner. So if anyone's interested, the paperwork's right there.
Thanks, Al.
You're not getting a raise just because
No.
you...
Thanks, Al. And it is on the website, of course. The short-term rental administrator position is on the website, and the full ordinance, if you want to look at it. And there will be a mailing. The intent is to send out a mailing shortly. Like I said, GovOS isn't going live with the application processing until they're saying June 25th. So what to get people to give them a little more time, and in case people have questions, we're going to send a mailing to everybody, all landowners, to let them know that the ordinance is in place and that there's a list of what's required when you're registering a short-term rental property. And it's going to take some time to get that information in that the application requires. So to help facilitate that, there will be a letter going out shortly explaining all of that. So that people can start to get their applications together, even though they can't submit it through the portal until the 25th, if it goes on live when it's supposed to.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Scott.
Article 1. To elect all town officers as required by law, which I'll Australian ballot at the back of the room. Article 2. Shall the town approve the budget proposed by the Winhall Select Board as presented in the 2024 town report? Can I have a motion to move the question to the floor? Beth Grant, seconded, Dean Giannotti Jr. Discussion on the budget. You know what's going to happen, Jim, I've been thinking about this as a town employee, so I've worked for the town for like 25 years or some such thing. I hold 3 different job titles, moderator, been on the school board. So every year when I stand here as your moderator and I ask you about the budget, next year what I'm going to do is I'm going to coerce them into giving me a $200,000 pay raise. Because nobody seems to mind.
I'm going to call you on your phone. I'm going to call you on the phone as soon as you propose it.
It's 2 cents on the tax rate.
Is there any questions or comments on the budget? I don't see any. I'm going to move the question to a vote. Shall the town approve the budget proposed by the Winhall Select Board as presented in the 2024 town report? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The article passes. Article 3. Shall the voters, and I know this is what you're waiting for, shall the voters authorize the creation of 2 additional seats on the select board for a total of 5 members pursuant to 17 VSA 2650B. The term of each new seat shall be 2 years. If this article passes, a special town meeting shall be held to fill the new seats. May I have a motion to move the question to the floor? Christie, Mackenzie, Boswell, or whichever way it goes, and second, Robin Adams. Discussion. Really, all the hubbub over this. Okay, Teresa.
Teresa, I just wondered if there was, how you guys felt about it. As a select board, don't you have an opinion you want to do? That's okay, I don't want to put it in.
I'm Stuart Coleman, for the people who don't know me. I don't know that I feel it's necessary. One of the reasons was a lot of other towns are doing it. Just because they do doesn't mean we have to. Whatever, we'll work with it. If it gets voted, go for it. I don't know that it's going to streamline our operation any. But you folks are the ones who vote on it and make it happen. And we'll work with it whichever way it goes.
So I'm Julie Isaacs, a member of the select board. I am for it. So I feel like with the size of a budget, we've got a $5 million nearly operating budget, which, as Stuart said, is only half of what we send. I mean, we send that much to the state. But I would like a deeper bench. My seat was filled because I took the position, I had been going to the select board meetings for about a year. I took the position because someone died.
I would like to see some more people of the community get involved. We're looking at some big projects, some really cool things. And I think that more people, more voices are beneficial.
Yeah, I might as well jump in too. So there were two reasons that were broached by Mike Cole, who put this petition in place to try to, the board voted against it, but there was, Mike raised the petition, so it's in front of the taxpayers now to decide what to do. And there were two reasons for it. One was succession, as far as getting people that know what's going on to, follow. And so the suggestion there had been to do what Julie did, which is Julie was at our meetings for almost a year or more than a year. If you really want to be involved, and facilitate, if something happens to me or Stuart or Julie, well.
Stop looking at the old guy.
It's okay, I'm catching up. So one thing was succession, which has never actually been a problem, ever. There's people in our community right now that have been, Beth has been for about 3 years to every select board meeting that we're at. She would qualify as a select person easily, and most people seem to know her, I think. Scott, who has served on many boards over the years, would qualify as a select person like that. If the need came up, he would join in. So I don't think succession.
Randy's been a selectman before.
Alex as well, Alex Bilka has been at our select board meetings and has been coming. My suggestion to Mike when he did this was, if you have people that are interested in being at the select board meetings, have them come. That's what's going on now. We have people that come to our meetings. They want to be involved, they want to know what's going on. He said, well, you don't have a vote. No, you don't have a vote, but you have a voice. We never shut anybody out. The first part of the meeting is public comment, and then throughout the meeting, anybody can talk. I mean, we're not even moderate. We don't even moderate like Scott does. I mean, no, we just,
Sometimes we have to
shut me up, but that's the loquacious when I was in kindergarten. I learned that word. So one thing was succession, and the other thing was, that there are other boards around us that have 5 members, except for Peru that has 3. I mean, Bennington, a bigger town than us, has 3.
Actually, there's a list that you can look at from the state if you all did any homework on this.
I did, actually.
And it prints off every town, their voter registration population, and how many select members are on their board. You typically don't see 5-member boards until you get up into much higher registered voters.
Registered voters. I actually did print out both those lists, the registered voters list and the, and went through it, and the select board list that showed it town by town, the number of voters in each town that are registered and the number of select board members in each board. It varies. There's 247 towns in Vermont. You're going to get different things in different places for different reasons. I don't see a reason, as Stuart said, I don't say because other towns are doing this around us or did it years ago. I mean, Stratton did it probably 50 years ago. Stratton made their board 5 people.
Thank you.
Okay. Jen had her hand up first, and then this young lady.
So I believe my failing eyesight, but do you guys get paid?
Yes, weekly with an A, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we
No,
do.
it's in here. Okay.
You want to borrow my glasses?
Yes, we do get paid, so there would be additional payment, adding 2 people with additional pay. I think what the chair gets about 6 and we get about 5 on an annual basis. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it comes weekly. If you want a position, take the short-term rental administrator position.
I'm sorry, Mike Cole had his hand up before you, and I just didn't.
So I'll try to step forward. So my name is Mike Cole. I'd like to, first, before we talk about the article, I think all of us as members of the town should recognize and appreciate our existing select board. They have done a tremendous job. They give vast amounts of time, energy, and talent to the tasks that they do. All of us as town members owe a debt of gratitude to them. So before we even talk about an article, let's just recognize and appreciate the board that we have.
Thank you, Mike. I did have something else that I forgot to mention, which is that.
Just a minute. You got to
Well,
talk
it
to
was
Scott.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you, I appreciate it. So the thing I guess I would like to briefly mention is kind of that there was the question that was the point that Stuart raised very well. We all do benefit greatly because these three board members put so much of their time and talent and energy into it. I think all of us that know the three of them know that they are just steadfast. Please keep in mind, for all of us that remember it, or for those few of us who might not have been here at the time, that the last time one of those chairs became open was in 2018, when Dave Klavach passed away during his term of office. Julie was appointed to fill that seat. Thankfully, she quickly came up to speed and has done a wonderful job for the town in the time since then. Stuart and Bill are fantastic. Unfortunately, neither of them were immortal. I mean, we would wish that they would be. We would all benefit if they would be. But the idea that this plan offers to us is to set up a multi-generational succession plan. These 4th and 5th seats that get brought in under Vermont statute can either be 1-year term or a 2-year term. This article is calling for them to be 2-year terms. Their seats, those existing 3 seats, are 3-year term seats, staggered expiration. The article before you is for 2-year term seats. They would also be staggered expiration based on the way the statute is written. The reason that this is beneficial to the town is to bring in new people into the select board so that they can be developed over time under the tutelage of our very experienced, very talented, very knowledgeable, lots of institutional history in those 3 individuals, so that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, there are people ready to fill those 3 senior.
You're going to have to fill them before then. Trust me.
There's a vast amount of institutional knowledge that just doesn't spring out of the ground, that any one of us can walk into those shoes. The select board is basically the firewall that all of us as townspeople turn to first when there's a dog barking next door. My street's not getting plowed. They are the frontline defense. They take the heat. A newbie coming in will have time to be able to come into that. How do I do this? How do I be a good
Excuse me. I can hear it murmuring back there. Neither one of you have the floor. Mike Cole has the floor, so I'd appreciate it if you stop talking. Thank you.
I'll stop and not go into other arguments supporting this. I feel that this is the one most important point. There are other points in favor of this. I'll leave that for other people who might wish to speak to it, to bring them up in the conversation today. But again, I want to say we owe a debt of gratitude to our 3 select board members who have served us very well, but it is time for Winhall to prepare itself for 10 years and 20 years from now with equally senior, equally capable leaders to be filling those seats. Thank you.
This young lady right here has had her hand up for a while, so please stand up, state your name for us.
I'm Janet Slozinski, and Mike answered part of my question, but I just wanted to get a little more information about the statute that was referenced here, like what it calls for. Does it recommend 5 board members? So
good luck.
I can address that if it helps. So I'm not an attorney, but I can read, and so I'll let any of us that are in our meeting today who are attorneys correct me because of my not being one. What I've read of the statute is that it says that select boards in the state of Vermont can either be 3-member select boards or they can be 5-member select boards. The default is 3-member select boards, and that's just the statewide kind of default. Many towns have voted to amend that. We can talk about the numbers. I have a little bit different numbers, but I'm not going to pursue that part of it. Answering your question, both of them have to either be 1-year terms or 2-year terms. If they're 2-year terms, the statute requires that the article that you're presented on the floor had to warn that those 2 seats would be 2-year terms. They are in the article as recommended and as it appears before you as 2-year terms, because when the petition went around among voters that led to today's article, there was a vastly overwhelming consensus of the people that were responding in that petition to wishing it to be 2-year terms. State law requires that if it's going to be 2, it had to be in the article. I don't think that means that you couldn't amend it if you wanted to make it a one-year term instead. But there would be 2-year, and state law also requires maybe alternating expirations.
Yeah, I'd just like to address a few things that I left out before, which is that, so our board, first of all, our board there's 3 board members, and our town has 3 departments. So it has been fine to work that way. Not that I guess we couldn't add someone. I don't think that the select board is now going to start training somebody, which is what Mike's premise seems to be, to have people come in and start to train them so that there's some sort of succession, whereas we already have for the last 200 some odd years, apparently, because we've continued this way ever since. There are people that have been coming to our meetings. Like I said, Beth Grant has been at our meeting for about 3 years. Alex Bilka has been coming to our meetings, so they're already trained. We have people in our community who have participated. Teresa has participated in various parts of our community for years. Teresa, if we had a space on the board that needed to be filled, Teresa could step up. Scott could step up. The fact that I don't understand what the point. I'm not planning on training 2 other people. I mean, I don't know what you mean. If you want to learn it, come to our meetings like other people have done, like Julie did. Julie came to our meetings for over a year. That's why she became a select person, and she also got on the Zoning Board of Adjustment for that same reason, to get knowledge of what's happening in the community. We have people in our community that have the knowledge base to participate as a select board members without adding 2 more people when the need comes up, because it will come up at some point in time, that's undoubtable.
Okay, so what I'm doing up here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Scott, I really had to say one other thing. The other thing that I really oppose on the 5-person board is that, and one of the things that Mike was pressing as something that could be good, and I like Mike Cole, he's our energy committee czar. He's been doing a tremendous job evaluating all of our buildings to see where we could save money. One of the things he's saying as a positive point is in the face of open meeting law, not technically, but practically. He's saying, we have a 5-person board. 2 members are allowed to get together and start discussing town politics, town business, town issues. Right now, 2 of us cannot, except at a warned meeting, and now a warned meeting that is on film and or recording for everybody to see. It's open meeting law. It's one of the main points of life in Vermont is that it's open, transparent. It's available for everyone to see. And you have 5 people on the board, 2 people can get together and start they don't make a decision until they're in a public spot, but they can start collaborating, any 2 people. So that really is something that, one of the reasons I'm really against.
You spoke enough times.
That's why I'm really against it.
So what I got going on up here, for you people that keep throwing your hands in the air, I should have explained. I make a list. I wrote down your names in the order that you put your hands up, and we'll go down through, I'll get down through the list. So the next one is Kim.
So I believe in quality over quantity. And succession is not met by having 2 newbies added to the board. Succession comes from people being involved in the community, attending meetings, getting on committees, and also the open meeting law is key. You know, the undermining of the decision-making process and the transparency that's really important and essential in a small town like ours, so it's not gossip, it's actually working together for solutions and good planning. So I support having a 3-member board based upon the amount of people. There's no limit to how many of us can get involved. And if you look at our town over the years when things needed involvement, people got involved. It didn't mean they ran and they suddenly got a vote on a board without having been involved or getting involved and having developed knowledge. I can remember a board meeting because my husband challenged and questioned something that was going on or built into the budget. And Stuart looked at him and he said, I challenge you to come to our meetings and participate, and we will hear everything you have to say. Larry, for the next year, went to every meeting on that topic. And that's how you groom and bring citizens into the fold, with knowledge and participation. Any of us at any age can end up not being able to stay on a board. Many of us are on boards. We don't get off just because we pass. So the succession issue isn't met with 5 people because it can happen to any one of those 5 people. It's really about the quality you want and the involvement you want. And historically, our town has invited involvement. Historically, a lot of people haven't. And so it's the involvement piece and the knowledge piece that's really important, because when we're having to make some really important things, they need us. They need us at their meetings. They want our feedback. It's not just the vote that there's 3 people voting. It's really about the information that comes to help them make the best decision for the town.
Dean.
So, a lot of you are familiar with me. I was just sitting up there. I'm a member of the school board. I'd like to reiterate something that Julie mentioned, and it sort of ties into what Michael was talking about. When I came onto the school board, just like Julie came onto the select board in circumstances where a previous member was leaving suddenly for various different reasons, I had the benefit of having a mentor, someone who brought me in to that process. And that was invaluable. Just sitting in the board meeting as a member of the audience is not the same thing as serving on a board. And so I had the opportunity to shadow a board member for a period of time before I ran for that position. And for me, that was a very important part of that process. So while I understand that we could all be more involved in school board meetings and like select board meetings, there's very rarely anyone from the community in attendance. We're all busy, we all have careers and families and our own lives. And as much as I'm sure a lot of us would like to be involved, it's difficult for us to make that commitment to just sit in on a board meeting. They can go long, they can be tedious. Being involved in the process is one way that you can really, I don't want to say force, because that's not the right word, but you can really press people to get involved in a bigger way. And going along with that, I would like to be more involved in the stuff that goes on in the town. Running for school board was not something that I ever thought I would do, and it's actually been one of the most rewarding experiences I've had since I moved here. I would like to see other people get to have that same experience. I would like to see people who want to get involved have an opportunity without having to run against one of our select board members. That's one thing you have to consider, is that if someone didn't want to run, they would have to run against someone else. And I don't want to deny us the talent and dedication that we have sitting up there before us right now. I think expanding the board would be a great way to give more people an opportunity to get involved, to have the same experience that I had, which, like I said, was very rewarding. Yeah, I think I'm in favor.
Jeff.
Just going to look up here, I don't want to talk to you guys back. So my name is Jeff Yates. I've been in town for quite a while. I'm not native, but I am local. I currently serve on the planning commission. Everything that was being told about training somebody, I've had 3 years of training. I read all of your guys' notes. We communicate with you guys all the time. I'm the one who brought STR to you guys when it was a new thing and presented it to you. Same thing when they legalized marijuana. I was on the committee for the town of Winhall to bring that information forward. And I've also walked in the town expansion with Stuart. So I don't need to really be, I've been on boards for, this would be my 7th board position. School boards, Little League boards. You learn at every board level as you grow. I don't think it's an apprenticeship role at all. I don't think you guys have to teach us anything.
When
That's why
Stuart
we have
kicks,
junior,
you can come right in.
That's right. But my point is, having 5 people, just like was being said, is not a deficit. It's not going to slow down your meetings. I actually would bring some of my experience on how to move the board forward faster so you're more efficient, because I've been at your meetings. Not all of them are efficient. I think you could be more efficient. I think the town has a lot of new issues that it's going to be dealing with. It's going to be dealing with short-term rentals. It's going to be dealing with all the school issues that you just heard. I'm stepping down this year from Long Trail School as a board member. This is a
Excuse me,
role
Jeff.
I would be happy
Jeff,
to take to help.
In just a second on that school issue, that won't be taken up by the select board, that's actually the school district.
I'm talking
that will
experientially.
do
They're
that.
just purely talking about board experience, which is something you do have to learn. You don't just walk in, you have to know how boards work. So I am one of those voices that would be very happy to help this town. I believe in serving your community. I've done it for over 25 years. I'd like to do it further here in Winhall. I think the 5-person party is not going to slow down the board. I think it's going to bring new blood and new voices to the board for the growing town of Winhall.
Oh, pause, because I want to try to get through these speakers I've got.
It's his wife can applaud.
Travis Dobson.
Thanks, Scott. I just had a question, and maybe you guys can clarify this for me. You know, just the particular examples that, you know, Scott, you're incredibly qualified, Beth, you're incredibly qualified, but if you guys step into those roles tomorrow, are there mechanisms in place for conflicts of interest? So
Yeah, the state has like Beth could easily be a select person and the town clerk. She wouldn't give up her position.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Are you required to recuse yourself from certain votes? Okay, so with a 3-person board then would essentially become a 1-person in certain situations, because you guys, you're so valuable to us, we would hope that you wouldn't resign from
about that.
You know, you would resign from your other position.
They don't have to resign.
To the mechanism.
They don't have to resign.
So there's no mechanism.
They just have to be voted in, just like Jeff was talking about trying to maybe, if this were to get voted in. It's not a lock because he has some experience and none in our town, or very little, but there's people that have had
3 years
on the planning commission. Yes, I did too, actually, before.
We don't need to, I'm not going to have.
I'm just saying, as far as elected positions, yes, I'm trying to answer Travis's question, yes. Beth,
You have to recuse yourself from.
well, we all have to do that on any board, anytime there's a conflict, yes.
Sure. Okay.
Yep.
But okay, so the point is then if it creates a smaller pool versus if we had 5, in theory.
Yes, so,
Great.
Scott?
I got others with.
Okay, I was
Has
just
it
going to
been
try
for
to
200
answer some
years?
of the conflicts.
I'd like to get everybody else can. Sir, you had your hand up.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Scott. My name's Tim Kress. Some great points were made, and I understand listening, I think, the motivation here, and I think it's good, but there are risks to doing this. I came from, when I moved here 3.5 years ago, from a much larger community in Massachusetts with a big select board, very political. 3 people have to get along. 5, you have the risk of factions and politics. The other thing, and I'll be very brief, the other thing is, it's a lot, you know, we've got 3 really good people here right now, but maybe we won't have as good people here in the future. It's easier to keep an eye on 3 people than 5. That's my point.
Okay, Bobby?
Hi, my name's Bob Montero. So I kind of echo that. I was torn. People have been asking me about this, and I didn't know much about it. In the last week, I own a store here. I own Winhall Market. I have 9 other restaurants, and I own properties in other towns. And we have we switched in one of the towns to a 5-person board, and it has caused a rift and it slowed things down. And 5 people that have liked each other for as many years as I know have gone all back to their corner. And I listened to it at my shops around the area, and people were talking about this before I came in, and some of the answers we're getting has made me even more torn on the on the way I'm going to vote. But what I noticed over in one of my other towns where we have a property was 2 of the members aren't talking to the other 3. 3 haven't been here before, and it's completely slowing down some of the processes. And then friends that were friends aren't friends anymore. And that's the part that I worry about. And the other part was a question was, other than succession, is there another reason that we need 5? I believe somebody answered that and I lost it, but I can't wrap my head around why we need 5 other than if somebody were to move on. That's all I got.
So with that question, because he is looking for an answer.
Keeps looking at me.
I'm going to defer to Mike because this is his baby.
There may be others who will have other answers to this question as well, but I'll offer 2 others. One that was mentioned was that it's the open meeting law, so that the topic was about them talking about town business. I'm going to change that specifically to 2 members being able to learn about complex technical issues that are in the town pipeline of planning and in that future, not soon thereafter, pipeline of expenditures. The town specifically has foreseeable upcoming large multi-million-dollar expenses that are being discussed presently, and they're going to be planned at engineering scales for a new fire station, police station combined, fluvial system is what they consider important. A lot of complexity about that, not trivial. None of us are landscape architects or have the skills with civil engineering. There's going to be a lot to be learned there. The second major project that the town is going to have to be considering it would be so these 2 members could learn from one another through asking questions of experts. I, and perhaps many of you, learn by hearing the questions asked and learning with my other classmates. So there's the opportunity to have more educated, informed awareness of the multitudes of engineering issues that are going to go into a wastewater plan for the village district and a fire station, police station in a fluvial zone along the Winhall River. Those are complicated issues that will need a lot of discovery, a lot of discussion with experts. So that's the second. The third issue I would say that I've heard mentioned is that our 3 board members, as wonderful as they are, do not represent in the following way the majority of Winhall voters. When I got the numbers of dates of registration of every one of Winhall's 830 voters, what I found in that data was that 63% of all of our town's registered Winhall voters registered within the last 10 years. None of our 3 board members became registered voters in the town of Winhall in the last 10 years. My point here is that there is not a continuing stream of new talent, welcoming new members, welcoming new citizens, ultimately recruiting them. Leaders recruiting leaders. As that saying goes, managers recruit their replacements. Good managers are always recruiting their replacements. Bill's point that it's not our job to train our replacements. I would actually say it is your job as a good town leader to be recruiting and training what is going to be your replacement. You won't live forever. You'd like you to, but you just won't.
Okay, you've answered the question.
So that was directed to me, so I'd like to respond.
You're kind of droning on here. You've answered the questions. I have a lot of people, not to cut you off, Mike, but you didn't answer the questions. I got other people ahead of you. Hannah.
Hannah Giannotti, I'm on the Planning Commission here and also on the newly formed Affordable Housing Committee. I happen to be under the impression that a 5-person select board would serve this town very well. For the reasons that Julie had already mentioned, I do think succession is important. I also kind of want to just go back to a point that's been made a few times. The idea that 2 people can collaborate if you have a 5-person select board. I think the other end of that is that 2 people can steamroll if you have a 3-person select board. And so there can be instances where there's actually not a lot of dialogue and not a lot of collaboration happening, and just a hammer coming down and a discussion moving on. Personally, I don't love that. I think we have a lot of serious challenges as humanity moving forward, but also for our town. Flooding is really picking up, and we need to be planning for that as a town. So much of our critical infrastructure is in flood zones. I want our select board to be thinking about managing for a resilient future. I think that happens when you have more capacity to do so. We're asking a lot of 3 people to think about everything just in terms of running the town, but then also forward thinking and what are the decisions that need to be being made so that my grandchildren can live here in a really flourishing place. So, and I think the other thing that I just wanted to point to is, everyone's saying,
it feels like there's an assumption that 2 new members are gonna be like random, uninvolved, uninformed people, and they're just gonna show up and come in and take over the select board, and I actually don't think that that's really the case. I don't think there's much to stand on for that. I'm imagining that if you do open this up, it's gonna be people who are already involved in some capacity. I think there's plenty of community members here who are involved. You know, I know Jeff has offered to run for a select board position. He's involved, he understands how the town operates. So I don't think we're gonna get some random person who doesn't understand. You're gonna get someone who wants to be involved and wants to contribute to the great work that these 3 are doing. And I think we should open that up to people. I think that, you know, again, big problems, new ways of thinking, creative ways of thinking are gonna be really important. And I think the only way you get that is by bringing more voices in, different backgrounds, different ideas. So that's all.
Lucia.
Hi, for you, all of you who don't know me, I'm Lisa Wynn, zoning administrator for the town of Winhall for a very long time. I don't publicly speak very much because I am a behind-the-scenes person, and I can tell you, I get a lot done behind the scenes. What I have to say is very short. 1, I am for a 5-member board. We live in 2025. We don't live in Winhall 200 years ago. Times have dramatically changed, and we have to think about changing also. I am a member of the Planning Commission. We are an 8-member board. We all get along. We do a heck of a lot for this town. I serve as an advisory person for the Zoning Board of Adjustment. They are a 5-member board. And as a result of my interest, I have researched boards all over the state of Vermont, 5-member versus 3 members. And what I have found is that Winhall, as a 5-member board, can be for diversity. End of story. A 3-member board is efficient. It's up to all of you to decide whether we move into 2025 or we stay stuck in 2000. Thank you very much.
Okay, Stuart?
There was a question about conflict of interest. There's a list published by the state. There are certain officials of the town that can take certain jobs. If you are a member of a certain board, you cannot be on the Board of Selectmen. If you are a member of a certain agency, you cannot be on the board. It is dictated by the state as to which ones are available. If there is a department that we are voting on, that there is a board member on the board, that they are a member of that department, they would have to recuse themselves during that thing. I don't think it's going to get down to a 1-person vote, because we don't have anyone that is involved in all of those different boards. But there is a state published list that tells who can be in what position in the town, if that answers your question.
Janet?
Hi, I'm Janet Hurley, also a member of the Neighborhood Housing Committee. And I just think it's about broadening perspective and giving people opportunity to be involved. I think that there aren't any inherent problems with 5 people not getting along as opposed to 3 people getting along. I really think it's about perspectives, broadening them, and giving more people a voice in affecting how their town moves forward. So, thank you.
You had your hand up, Mark.
Mark Molly, I sit on the board here at the Mountain School, and also on numerous corporate boards as well, and diversity, not only from the point of view, but from the experience that you bring to the table is something that every board I've ever sat on looks for. It makes the board move more efficiently. If you need legal advice in the future, you look to have a lawyer on your board. If you need design advice, you look to have an architect on your board in the future. And by having an increased number of board members, we will increase the amount of diversity that we have.
Okay. I'm going to do something that I'm allowed to do. I'm going to step down as moderator, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on this. Probably not popular, some of them are, some of them aren't, but as a taxpayer, as a voter, I would like an opportunity. I'm supposed to be impartial at this meeting. This seems very close to my heart as well, and I would like the opportunity to speak to it. So I'm going to step away as the moderator. Stuart is going to take over while I say what I want to say, and then we'll be back. I'll be back. Maybe I won't be. So, obviously, I shouldn't have to introduce myself, but my name is Scott Basheed. I do work for the town. I've worked for the town for almost 25 years. I have served on school board, town moderator, elections, you name it, every other thing. I have no issue with wanting to broaden the board size. I have an issue with the premise of why it wants to be done. For the whole time that I've been a supervisor for this town, 20 years, I've been moderator 15, something like that. I watch every single year us have elections for one select board member. Unopposed, unopposed, unopposed. I sit in every board meeting since I became a supervisor because that's a requirement. Who's usually in there? Who is in there for the last few years? 3 selectmen, myself, Trevor Dryden, Beth. Now all of a sudden, everybody believes that we need to jump up and increase our board size. And maybe we do. I'm not saying we don't. But don't do it on this premise of, oh, get involved, because my thing is, and I've done a lot of stuff in this town, still do a lot of stuff in this town, volunteer a humongous amount of time. If you want to be involved, you get involved. You shouldn't need an invitation. You should be putting your name on that. You put out your petition, get your name and get on these things. And now all of a sudden, because, and I'm going to say it straight up, I don't care. I don't like the fact that Mike has kind of made this like national politics in the small town. Democrats need more representation. I don't like that at all. I don't like it one bit. I don't think that has any play in small town governorship. It's the people that are here that you put in front of everybody. And I don't like this whole idea of like all of a sudden that, well, we need these people to get involved. Well, why should we go out there and beat your doors to get involved? If you were part of the Winhall town and the Winhall community, you should be getting involved yourselves. You know the process. You know that we vote one selectman out every year. You know it. You know all you have to do is ask Beth, what do you have to do to run against that person? I don't care which way you vote. You want 5 people, great. Because whoever comes on, you're going to have to be my boss. Good luck.
I can vouch for that.
Just do this under the right premise. I've heard this thing, you know, opportunities, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't have to spoon feed people community involvement. If they want to be involved, be involved. If you want 5 selectmen, have 5 selectmen, but be honest why you want it. That's all. I mean, I've been listening to this crap since it all started, all the back words. You know, I am the supervisor at the transfer station. Everybody comes in there, wants to talk to me, wants to talk to me, wants to talk to me. I know a lot of the underbelly political stuff that goes on that is never brought up in here because it's all kumbaya. Just be honest about why you want something. I have no issue with a 5-person select board because I'll steamroll over them like I do the current.
Okay, any other questions? Sorry, I haven't recognized you.
Yep.
Any other questions? No?
So, Alex Bilka, Assistant Town Clerk, Assistant Treasurer. I think that, and this, I'm echoing something here, that a 5-member board does present the danger of 2 people talking behind closed doors when they shouldn't. I'm a big fan of Vermont's open meeting law, where every meeting is warned, everything that is said by the select board, by 2 members, 3 members, you are all invited to see. It is recorded. Everything is known. If we go to 5, 2 people can be talking, and no one will know about it. No one will know what is said. And I think that's dangerous. I would also like to say that, again, if you want to get involved, just show up. All 3 of them are very open to listening to opinions when you show up and say something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Anybody else? Kristen?
I just want to also say that it's true. If you want to get involved, it's so easy to get involved. You just show up. I was on the school board for 7 years, and when I got on the school board, I wanted to be there, so I went, I listened, and I ran. And I got on there. And the thing that we did do was we talked about a lot of different things going on. We did have committees, and we did pull in people onto those committees who would be helpful in moving forward. So I think it goes to what Scott was saying. If you want to do something, get involved and do. If you want to increase the board ultimately at some point, then you do it for the right reasons. But start showing up. Anybody is welcome.
Thank you, Christy. Larry?
I was unavoidably delayed, so my only question is, has any evidence been put forth that a 3-member board is somehow detrimental to our town? Have there been problems because we have a 3-member board versus a 5-member board?
I think there's been comments on both sides for it to go, and
But I mean,
I don't see it, and we'll work with it, whatever. Let's just move on. I think everyone knows how they're going to vote right now. I'm going to turn back over to Scott, but I think everybody knows how they're going to vote. Let's move on.
Okay, thank you.
I move the question.
Oh, just a second. Can I have one more for Julie has something to say, and then Larry?
I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you.
Did you have your hand up before, Tim? Well, I thought you had it up before, and I was just ignoring you.
No,
No?
never happened.
All right. So, Tim, you've not spoken yet.
No, I have not.
I am going to allow Tim to speak, and Julie, and then that's it. Larry has called the question.
Tim Apps, I just wanted to propose that we go to paper ballot.
Okay, let's, all right, so, anybody can request a paper ballot. I need 6 more people.
There you go.
Oh,
There you go.
shit, we got that in spades. So, once Julie has her say, then, sorry, my brain is completely operating. I don't even know if that was, then what Beth has asked me is that anybody that's elderly or whatever, it's because you're going to go to the back of the room, go through to vote, you're going to get a scrap of paper, you'll be yes or no, very simple. But anybody that's elderly or having issues, moving, walking, whatever, if they could go first, and then everybody else form the line. Beth asked me that. Yes, Tim?
Just when people come through, it'll go a lot faster if you just stop with Robin and tell her what your name is.
Right.
Just so she doesn't have to ask.
Scott.
Just be prepared. She knows most everybody, but it will actually tell you.
Can you clarify, a yes vote is to make
I'll
it?
do that after I get
Okay,
Julie's
sorry.
final
Just want
comment.
everybody to know.
I just want to say that this town is amazing. We've had this discussion. No one's been yelling at each other. No one's been arguing. It makes me proud. It's why I've fought so hard to live here.
You're welcome for having such a miserable, strong-ass moderator. That shit. Okay, so, Laura, that's it. We're moving this question. We have beat this horse right into the ground. What I am going to do is I am going to reread the article because I do, as moderator, need everybody to understand how you vote, what it will be. Article 3, shall the voters authorize the creation of 2 additional seats on the select board for a total of 5 members pursuant to 17 VSA 2650B. The term of each new seat shall be 2 years. If this article passes, a special town meeting shall be held to fill the new seats. If you vote yes, then you will have a 5-man board.
If it passes.
you vote no,
If it passes.
Well, that's the
you'll have
yes.
If it passes, but your yes vote is
just 'cause it
for
Oh, I see, right.
a 5-man vote.
Let's be clear.
Your no vote is to keep the 3 you have, period. Yes or no? You'll go to the back, form a line. As I said, anybody elderly or has a little
Guess I'm gonna
issue
get back here, aren't I?
moving, go first. That is my best request, because it is a
I'm
little
the
tight.
oldest one up here,
Rest of you
right?
form a line over there.
Yes.
You'll give your
Lucia?
name, vote, and
Down.
come out. Barnes.
I think we lost him.
I do too. I knew we would.
There's too many people here.
I knew we would.
Please, please, everybody be quiet. We still are technically in the meeting. I need JPs to grab the box with that, go in the room and count the votes. Thank you.
I'm not a JP then.
Yes, you are.
Oh, I am?
You're on the board of civil government.
Yes, I know it's the CA.
Yes, but they we'll get back to you.
I'll be here. Wait, patient. Just while they're out, so what's gonna happen is that they'll go in there and they're gonna count the votes, the JP's, Justice of the Peace. They'll go in, count the votes, they'll get a tally, they'll come out, Beth will come out, come up, tell me what it is. I'll probably stand here for 45 minutes just to keep you in anticipation. But then I'll announce, how the vote went, whether it passed or it failed or whatever. Then the last order of business is the same as the school district, to conduct any other business that comes before the board. Regardless of that, I've done this moderator thing for quite a while, and I would reiterate what Julie said. I do like a spirited debate. I do like both sides of the coin, and I do appreciate that everybody that was here for the topics we discussed, you all were very well mannered, which is important. I think you can have a difference of opinion as long as, you treat the other person with respect. Their opinion's their opinion. It's kind of like a honeyhole. Everyone's got one. Some of us are. So I've been told. Dave.
Have you ever seen it where there is a point where it got really contentious like that?
Yep. Before I took over, we had the old town moderator, literally, they had a fight on the floor where they were going at it so bad that the moderator had just completely lost control of the whole meeting, and it was just pandemonium. It was insane. And the thing of it is with the town meeting, this is the town and the school district's annual business meeting. This is where we come to conduct that business. But the other thing is, and I probably do give more leeway than most moderators when I let people talk, because I also feel this is your one time of the year that you can come out and vent about whatever you want to vent about. Yes, I will close down people that have already talked a million times and others that haven't, because that is what I'm supposed to do. But if you wanted to stand up and vent that you thought there were too many crows in town, hell, I'd let you.
It's a little piece of paper.
I'll wait till Tim gets back. Okay, so on Article 3, eligible is authorized creation of 3 additional seats on the select board, total of 5 members, pursuant to 17 VSA 2650B, the term of each new seat shall be 2 years if this article passes. We have a count of yes, 42, no, 27. Article 3 then passes within, how long is it?
60 days.
60 days. Within 60 days, we'll have a special meeting to elect the 2 extra seat members.
Scott, you might want to clarify that they have to petition.
Yes.
I mean, that's how you elect somebody.
Right, but that's also, they can go
Right.
and see Beth on not, it's like a
Sure.
they can go see Beth about that crap. Okay, Article 4, to transact any other business that may legally come before the meeting.
Make the motion, we suspend.
Oh, hang on.
Recess. Oh, your bride has her hand up.
Teresa.
Lucy Amman, Thomas Lost in Los Angeles. I just want to thank, in addition to all the boards, I really want to give a shout out to our police, EMT, and fire departments for all the work they do for all of us.
Here, here.
On a couple of different occasions, and it usually makes most people cringe, but with our police department, they can save your life and they can kill the guy that shot you. Invaluable. You don't get that just anywhere. And the fire department as well, their volume of calls has increased and they've stepped up admirably to take care of it. So, these are the volunteer fire departments. It's a good group of guys, again, taking time out of their lives to serve us. Is there any, Barb?
I just have a question about the special town meeting. Barbara Coleman, I have a question about the special town meeting. Will we be here like this and having those people that put their name in the pot? So if we don't know them, we can know what they represent?
Yeah, Beth, you have to answer it. You're the
Or is
election
it
official.
just an Australian ballot where we see the names, we find out about them?
So it will be an Australian ballot. Our town always votes Australian ballot for elected officials. It will be at the town hall. It will be 10 to 7 on the chosen date of the board.
We have to set it.
Warned as a normal meeting. Certainly you could, whoever decides to run, then you could ask them questions. But they will have to fill out their form, their consent form with 1% of the voters. Right now we're at 816 as of today.
So they have to have 9 votes, 9 signatures of qualified voters in the town.
I always say get more because some people sign it that aren't
voters.
even though they say they are Winhall voters,
Yep.
so.
Okay.
Thank you, I just wanted to clarify the
Yep,
process.
no, absolutely good question,
Yep.
Barb.
Beth is your election official, so any election questions Beth will field. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Armin Vartanian. I just joined the Energy Committee, just mentioned earlier, the advisory group to select board. We're looking for ideas and volunteers. Just had a good first in-person meeting last night. And so reach out to, I guess, who would it be?
Mike Cole.
Mike Cole is the regional former of this. There, if you're interested in participating and joining. We're looking at environmental and energy issues for the town.
Okay, Beth.
So there is a select board meeting tomorrow night. I would just suggest anybody who is interested in these 2 positions, now's your time to start attending.
Is there anything else?
Dog licensing?
We already went over that.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. I must not have had my listening ears on.
You were balloting.
Theo was licensed. Theo was licensed. I saw her.
I know.
Is there anything else? Any other? Okay, I'll take a motion to suspend.
Recess.
Matt back, second. Hannah?
I did not hear who made
Oh,
Matt
Matt Beck.
motion,
the
seconded by Hannah
Giannotti.
Giannotti. All in favor?
Aye.
Yay.
We'll reopen at 7 p.m.